So today I want to talk about scholarships, a very specific kind of scholarship because there's a lot of different types. So I want to talk about the merit-based academic scholarship that a college gives directly to the student. There's a lot of asterisks there, but it's important that I differentiate where the scholarship is coming from and what it's awarded for. Well, they're the most common type of scholarship that's awarded. They're also one of the most coveted. There's nothing better than saying, well, I got a full ride to blah, blah, blah because I'm so smart. And they should be. You should try to get academic scholarships. Regardless of what your grades or scores are, you should be trying to get these. But how do you get them, and why do colleges give them out? So first I want to explain why colleges give academic scholarships. The main reason is yield. Now, yield is a term that everyone in admissions knows, but students aren't usually familiar with this language, and what it basically means is when a student is admitted to a college and chooses to go there, meaning that they show up for the first day of class, they have yielded to the college. So for colleges, they want to get students to apply and they want to admit students, but the most important thing is how many students they get to actually come and give them money. So scholarships are a way for colleges to yield students. Think of it this way. You get into College A and College B. College A is $20,000, you get no scholarship. College B is $40,000 and they give you $20,000 in scholarship. Now College A and College B are the same price, but College B feels a little better, right? Because you got $20,000, half of it in scholarship. Now think of it as College A gives you, it costs $20,000, they don't give you anything. College B, well, they make it so it's only $15,000 to go there, even though the price was so much more. Now College B is looking really good. A lot of colleges use scholarship to really sweeten the pot to make strong students come to their school. They do the same thing with athletic scholarships and talent-based scholarships, but academic scholarships are ones that most schools will use because the most students will apply for them. Now, not every college is going to offer academic scholarships because think of the Ivy League, schools like Yale and Harvard and similar schools like Stanford and UCLA where they're really selective. They're going to have plenty of students who are at the top academic profile in the country apply and admit and want to go there, regardless of how much it costs. I mean, frankly, if Harvard asks students to cut off one of their pinkies and mail it in, they'd still have a freshman class. So they don't offer merit aid at all. But most other colleges do. So if you're really thinking, I need academic scholarship to pay for college, don't look to those schools unless you also need need-based aid, which they do offer. But you want to look at schools where you are higher academically than most of their other applicants. So how do you know if you're higher academically than most of their other applicants? There's a couple ways you could find this out. One, if you're looking at bigger schools, especially state schools, sometimes you could just find it on their website. So if you go onto their website and you look at their financial aid and you click on scholarship, they might have just a grid right there that says this GPA and this SAT or ACT with this rank means you get this amount of money, which is really easy. Most other schools don't work like that. You kind of have to figure out for yourself what your odds are, and you may not be right, so you kind of have to just apply to a few different types of schools and see what happens. One way that you could kind of gauge where you might get money is look at a college's mid-range scores for the SAT and ACT. Now, what does mid-range mean? What it basically means is that for their current first-year class, you can see what the average test scores are for those students who decided to yield to the school. So for example, we'll say that ABC University down the road has a mid-range ACT score of 25 to 30. That means that 50% of their current first-year class, their freshman class, got between a 25 and a 30 on the ACT. 25% of those students got lower than a 25, and 25% got above a 30. So if you're looking at ABC University and you have a 24, that doesn't mean you can't get in, but it's pretty unlikely you're gonna get an academic scholarship there. You may get another type of scholarship, but there's really no incentive for them to give you an academic scholarship at that school. Scholarship is another great way for schools to raise their academic profile. Think of it this way. If you have a 31 on your ACT, that puts you in that top 25% of their applicants according to their past year. Now, if they can get more and more students to come to the school who have over a 30, next year they'll have a higher mid-range score, making them more selective and getting more students. It'll raise their rank, and then the school is very happy. So if you're looking at ABC University or any university and you see, oh, I'm in their mid-range or I'm lower than their mid-range, that doesn't mean you shouldn't apply. But it could kind of give you an idea that if you get scholarship money there for academics, it may not be as much as you want. Some of these colleges can cost over $70,000 for 1 year. So if you have a 25 on the ACT and that's right in their mid-range, they may give you $10,000 off a year, but that's still $60,000. However, if you have a 35 on the ACT, they may offer you a lot more money because they want you to go there to help raise that number for the next year. This is really making it basic, and there's a lot more that goes into it, but that's kind of a good way to get an idea of what kind of scholarships you could be looking at. Again, you need to check and see if they even offer merit aid, but most colleges do. I quickly want to talk about the difference between public and private universities, because this is where I have the most people look at me in surprise. So what if I told you that that really expensive private school could be more affordable for you because of scholarships than the public university down the road? You might look at me like I'm crazy, and most of my students do when I first say this. But because of how competitive these colleges are to recruit top students, and top here just means whatever is that top 25% for them, they can be really generous with money in a way that public colleges can't. So public universities serve very specific functions for their state. They're supposed to give a good education to in-state students. So if you're from out of state, there's not really a ton of incentive for them to bring you into their school, except raising their academic profile and getting your money. So if you're a really smart student, but you're looking at an out-of-state selective flagship university, like University of Michigan or Penn State, you're not really gonna get a ton of money from them regardless of how smart you are, because they're getting plenty of students from in-state and out-of-state who are willing to go there and pay the full price. But if you're looking at a private school, they're pretty desperate, some of them, to get really smart students like you on their campus. And you want them to want you more than you want to go there, if that makes sense. So I know it sounds crazy, but if you really need a lot of scholarship money, you can keep some of those public schools on your list, especially the in-state ones, but look at some private universities, especially ones where your SAT or ACT or your grades are higher than their mid-range. Now you may be asking, well, how do I even apply for these scholarships? Every school is different. Generally, check their website to see what they ask. Some of them, when you hit submit on the application, you're applying for the scholarship. Some of them you need to check a box. Some of them may say if you want to be eligible for an academic scholarship, you need to write an extra essay. Some of them, especially the big state schools, you'll need to do a completely separate application that might be for the specific department. What's important to remember for those is that they're often due way earlier than the actual normal application. So if you're applying to big state university and the application for just being admitted is February 1, you might want to check the website because their scholarship deadline might be November 1st. It often is pretty early. So make sure that you check the website, or if you can't find it there, you can email the admissions office to see what they say about it. But usually you can find that stuff online. And if you have any other questions, you can leave a comment. I'd be happy to try to answer. Remember that every school is different, but I think the most important takeaway for academic scholarships is to keep an open mind. I know a lot of students want to have their cake and eat it too. You want to get into the hardest university that you could barely get into, and then you want a bunch of scholarship money there. And unfortunately, that's usually not how it works, especially with academic scholarships. So it doesn't matter how smart you are, there's going to be a college that you've never heard of that would be an amazing opportunity for you. So keep an open mind, check out a lot of different colleges, and look at those middle SAT and ACT scores. And good luck, and hopefully you'll get a good academic scholarship.